visual artist and a muralist. The name of my piece is Witches Are Guardians of the Community. I brought with me to Philadelphia the altar that I have in my home. So it is my home altar. It is an altar that I have up in honor of my ancestral spirits. According to indigenous culture, we honor the spirit of the land and we honor the spirit of the ancestors. Being a part of that culture and practicing ancestor worship, I have a home altar to recent relatives that have passed on, but also relatives that I have been told through different ceremonies that I've been to that are with me. And so that altar is a representation of that. Any altar that is going to serve the purpose of honoring the dead, or even, a religious figure like the Virgin Mary, or some people like candles to saints, you need to represent the 4 elements on that altar, and that includes water, which is why I set out the glasses of water, so when the spirits do come, they have something to drink, but also water is a filter, so it helps filter out the negativity that people might bring into your presence, or, when they approach your altar or enter your home. So I keep a glass of water by the door that we change out as people come and go, just to be on the safe side, because even though you might come to my house with the best intentions, I don't know what kind of day you had. And maybe, you're bringing in unconsciously, some funkiness into my house that you might leave there. So we want to try to keep our energy cleaned as often as possible. So you have the water element. You have the earth, and the earth is usually represented by flowers. Flowers are the plants. Flowers are the part of the plant that has the direct relationship to the sun. And so the flowers are used to heal the spirit, where other parts of the plant is used to heal the physical body. And so what I'm told by the curanderas that I've worked with is that you always have flowers in your house because it helps bring joy. Okay? So then you have fire, which is another element of the 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire. And so we have the fire, which is represented by the candle, which is the energy, the life force, the life-giving energy of the creative spirit. And it's from that fire that gives our ancestors that energy, that gives them the strength that they need in order to protect us. Because our ancestors, their number one function is to protect their descendants. Other things that might happen, opening paths of good fortune or providing with good health is secondary to the fact that they're there to protect you and keep you safe. I have, that's all I've got keeping me and my family safe is my candles and the belief that I'm good. So, and even when my kids have those moments of fear, I always remind them, look, we got the altar, we've got the candles lit, nothing's gonna hurt us. It's all good. And so the 4th element that needs to be included in every altar is air. And air is represented by the incense. And the incense is a smell. And I'm told that our smell, the sense of smell, is the closest thing we have to memory. So sometimes when you walk into an old house or you walk into a house and say there's bread baking, it might remind you of, say, your grandmother who's now gone, who used to bake bread, or you see what I'm trying to say as far as smells will bring you back to that moment in time a lot quicker than anything else, any other sense that we might have. And so we light the incense to call the spirits. Now, I keep my altar up all the time, but there's certain holidays, and like right now is one of them, where we have, that is Day of the Dead. And so we honor our ancestors in a special way. And so there are different elements on the altar that wouldn't be there unless it was Day of the Dead. One of them is the miracles. Miracles are used, you can put miracles on your altar anytime, don't get me wrong, but it's a specific flower that is used during Day of the Dead because it is the flower of the muerto. The smell of the miracles is what calls the spirits during that time to let them know that it's, their altar is set up for them to feast. I'm also told by the curanderas that I've worked with Um, that, like I said, the flower is the thing that's most related to our spirit. So when somebody is dying and having a hard time letting go, you give them a tincture or a tea of that marigold, and it helps in the releasing of the spirit from the physical body. Another thing that we have on the altar that wouldn't be there unless it was Day of the Dead is the sugar skulls. The sugar skulls are decorated and placed on the altar, representing each departed loved one that is going to come and feast on that altar. Usually, you decorate them in memory of whoever, and you write their name across the forehead so that that spirit knows where its place is on your altar. My papel picado. And, in the rush of packing, when I got here, I thought, I left it on the table. But that's another traditional thing that you put out for Day of the Dead. And I only put mine out during Day of the Dead because it's such a fragile, paper is so, and I can make sugar skulls. That's what I do during this time. And I give workshops or sell them during festivals or what have you. But the papel picado is too delicate, so it gets put away unless it's Day of the Dead, and I left mine on my kitchen table, unfortunately. But that represents the air element, so that you see it flowing back and forth over your altar, as the air circulates, and the muertos are here. You set up your altar. You start setting up the altar on midnight of Halloween. You put out all your elements, your flowers, etc. Then you set out the offerings, the food offerings for the children, because the children come first in this ceremony, and they feast on November the 1st. So you have candies and cakes and things that kids would like. Then on November the 2nd, you add your more adult oriented foods and offerings like bottles of liquor, cigarettes, or chicken mole, and tamales that maybe your grandmother used to cook during this time. But I know that the mole is a very traditional food to put out on your altar during this time. So you really want to just keep them out. Oh, the pan de muerto, that's what I was forgetting that I brought, and it's on that altar. The pan de muerto is a bread that's only made during Day of the Dead, and it is in the shape of a human form, and it represents death itself. And we place it on the altar, but we also eat it. It's about celebrating life and kind of laughing at death at the same time, because it's something that we're all eventually going to have to face. And it shouldn't be a scary thing. I know for us in my house, the way we look at death is just another transformation. It's not like you're going to lose the connection. Like, I'm never going to be able to connect with my mother again or my father again. They're going to have their spot on that altar, and we'll be able to connect through prayer, through offerings, by remembering every November 2nd and sharing a laugh or two or telling stories of those loved ones. So it's a different type of relationship. But it's Jane Madrigal.
Can you tell me what you do?
I'm an artist and I'm also a muralist. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm born and raised. Connect with that part of me that was more Mexican, as that connection that I had to Mexico. And so when I came back to the States, what happened was it manifested in art. And I started painting.